Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 12th to Tuesday the 20th of December. Walford twice weekly, perhaps. Or no, weekly, fortnightly, bi-weekly. Thank you. Oh my goodness, what a start. Hey, hello, it's very early in the morning for us. We're recording this very early so we can get this out for you guys.
Very early.
Very exciting. We're like Santa Claus, just it's not Christmas. Not yet anyway. But someone who... but it feels like Christmas because I get to spend a nice couple of hours... I get to spend a couple of hours with my old chum, Robert. Hello, Robert. How are you today?
Hello, Alexander. I'm very well. Yes, indeed. It is 7:45 in the morning, all right?
It's not that early, really.
It's not really. Well, it is for me. I just got home from work, so I'm wide awake. You know, I'm all good. I've got a cup of tea. I've dragged Alex out of bed. And
my eyes are like piss holes in the snow.
You look like crap. I'm not going to lie to you. And I would say, Alex, that this is how it feels. This is how it's felt for me every morning, every Saturday for the past 2 years when you have said to me, right, well, we're right to record at like 9, 8 o'clock. Yeah, and I'm like, yes, Alex. Like, you know, the dutiful slave that I am to this podcast. But now you know. Now you know.
The tables have turned.
Indeed. However, I would hope that all we made up, because me and Alex have done Christmas this year for each other. And we thought we might open these on camera because that's the sort of gays we are.
yes, we have to do it. We have to show everyone how happy we are.
Yeah. And can you tell? No wrapping involved. This is just pure conglomerate wrapping.
No. Yeah, that's true. Yours should be wrapped inside. Did you not pay the premium of wrapping inside, Rob? How dare you?
Well, I've given you a note. You should have a note in.
Oh, I didn't give you a note because I just thought we're doing it on camera, so there's no point. Just to let people know, if you're listening to this on Audible, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favourite podcast apps, it's probably a good idea to quickly switch over to YouTube on our YouTube channel, at Walford Weekly Podcast. Yes, because then you can have a look at what we're opening.
All right, do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
You go first, because I think you're going to be disappointed.
I'm not going to be disappointed. Alex did say to me that like he saw this and thought of me, so that now he's saying I think I'm going to be disappointed means I'm guessing this is an insult, whatever this is.
No, it's not. No, it's really not. It's really not. I saw it in a shop and I thought, where can I get it cheaper? Good. So I went on Amazon.
Let's take a look. Oh, that is really nicely wrapped in it. That's nice.
Nice of me.
That's really nice.
Is there anything on the label?
Never find out what's in it. I might just keep the wrapping and the bag like this. Is there anything on the label?
Schrager's box or whatever. Open. Is the cat dead? Is it alive?
Oh, here we go. No, there is. You've done me a note. Look, it says, Merry Christmas, fa la 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 la, la 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 la, from Alex and Ben. So that's
there you
go. Nice. Awkwardly, I've only done yours to you. So please tell Ben Merry Christmas.
I will. I'll pass on the note.
I keep forgetting, like, you know, you're an entity and I'm just one.
We're one thing.
Ish,
kind of.
Please, don't let me vomit. Right, okay, so...
Is it a sack? Oh, it's a lovely... Oh, God, that's really reusable. That present, that's alone is the best present in the world.
Is this going to be better than the present itself, do you reckon?
I think it might.
Right, ta-da. Oh, so nice. Thank you.
That's okay, because I know you love that show. So I thought Christmas Day, because you said you've got all the family round this year for Christmas Day. So I thought you could get all your family round. You can have a little game. You could be Richard, and you could get everyone else to play games with you.
Can you see the similarities?
I can. The glasses.
I could, I could be Richard Osman. I think I wouldn't be surprised if I'm Richard Osman's love child. In all fairness, I think that's definitely a thing. Thank you so much. I really, really like it.
Okay,
thank you so much.
I love when the camera's off. You can tell me how much you hate it.
I've got this already.
Oh, have you? No, I'm joking.
No, I'm joking. I haven't.
Shall I open mine then?
Yes.
Comment. By the way, comment below anyone who's watching this.
Who got the better present?
Who got the better? Yeah, who did better?
Who played more effort? You'd find that out.
Oh gosh, mine's in a sack too.
Oh, good. Oh, we're definitely keeping the sacks, aren't we?
So Amazon, a gift from big time. Amazon, a gift from Rob. Oh, it says, "Dear Alex, I expect you bouncing off the walls for the foreseeable."
Mm-hmm. I brought you cocaine. Merry Christmas.
I wish you. I mean, this is lovely. I think the sack alone is.
The sack is great.
Was your sack? I love a sack.
I know you love a sack.
Oh gosh, is it?
Actually, normally off camera, but
Rob, it's a box inside a box.
I told you that's what you were getting. Everyone needs a box at Christmas.
I'm sorry to anyone who's like, right, here we go. Because it feels like Christmas because I've just got lots of wrapping around me. Right, what is it?
It's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, Rob, thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I should explain. This is, for anyone audio, this is a box of coffee because I love coffee. I drink a lot of it. And
see, what you don't realise, listeners, is that I have to deal with Alex. I have to deal with Alex quite often when he's just had a coffee and he's absolutely buzzing off the walls like some sort of 5-year-old who's just had too many numbers. So I thought I'm a glutton for punishment. So there you go. So that means you can brew your own coffee.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there you go.
Rob, I told you yours would be better. Oh, Rob. Oh, no, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's lovely.
Good. And it's vegan as well. I checked.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it actually is the coffee in there.
So nice.
It's all beef gravy. That's what I'm
Bisto. Lovely. Oh, well, I'll brew one of those. I won't do it today because of time, but I will for the Christmas episode. So that's something more for people to look forward to.
There you go.
That's really lovely. From all around the world as well.
Yes.
And it's recyclable.
Yeah, see,
you thought of everything of me, didn't you?
I thought of everything.
All
these things that you go and protest about, I thought of every single one of them, you know. It's anti-Tory as well, I'm sure.
It came in a blue bag, but I can be like
that. Yeah.
Oh, no, Rob, that's really lovely. Thank you ever so much. Thank you. But again,
pleasure.
But yes, that's, Ben, Rob, thank you so much. Oh, Ben.
Right. So.
Oh no, I was going to say that Ben can't have them because Ben doesn't drink caffeine, so it's even better. So it's all for myself.
All for you. There you go.
That's why I said, Ben.
I do feel quite bad about Ben now because, like, when you said from Alex and Ben, I was like, oh yeah. But then, you know, we do this. You know, me and Ben don't do this, so maybe, you know, I don't know.
I won't worry. Ben
next year.
Don't worry. Ben's getting. Take it from me. Ben's getting a lovely Christmas this year. And birthday.
How disgusting. It's too early for that kind of conversation.
It's too grotesque. Anyway.
Okay, we've done a lot of talking now, so shall we talk about this week's, the past week of the EastEnders that we've missed, because we have a lot to discuss.
Let's do it. We're starting the podcast then with probably the big story this week, or the past couple of weeks, and that was Dot's funeral. And I mean, suffice to say, it was eloquently done. It was perfectly performed, and the only thing I could probably moan about, if I had to moan about something, is that, and I swear it's a silly little thing, is that they didn't have Mary or Deezer on the square. They only had them at the church. I'd like to see them kind of mingling in with Colin and Barry in his Merc. It was just wonderful. I just loved all those moments.
Yeah, I mean, we will get to Colin and Barry because that in itself was quite a huge moment, which escaped me at first, and then I sort of realised the significance of it. So we'll come to that, and in just a short moment. But yes, Dot's funeral. So the dearest Dot Cotton, Dorothy Branning, has arrived home, and it's her funeral, and the whole square. I mean, the whole episode, let's be honest, as it should be, was completely dedicated to the whole funeral. Everybody was suitably sombre. Lola even had a funeral bandana. I didn't even know you could get them. You noticed that? She had like a lovely black bandana around.
R.I.P. written on the front.
Yeah, basically, it was. I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was quite a nice touch. And it seems like so long since we've had like a big old church service thing of any description, wedding, funeral, or any, christening, anything like that. And
funerals have always been off screen, haven't they? Yeah, funerals have all been off screen recently.
Exactly. What we've tended to. Well, I think COVID had a big thing to do with it, didn't it? Because I think TV has had to catch up with the big crowd stuff. So I'm glad that they were able to do this properly. Because normally what we've been getting in the past few years is like a big service happens and they're walking to the Vic and the first line will be, wasn't that a lovely service? Wasn't that lovely? So
it was nice of so-and-so to turn up, even so you never see them.
Well, talking of so-and-so turning up,
I know, that was a nice surprise, wasn't it?
I got one of my wishes. Ian Beale. Now let's briefly discuss Ian.
Beardy Beale.
Because, a very beardy Beale, yes. Fresh out the castle, I think, probably at that point. Now then, Ian, it seems to me that there is a story on the horizon should Adam Woodjack return. I get the feeling that the way that they did the phone call, which, by the way, Jane, surely.
But that's what a lot of people have thrown out there, haven't they? I would love it to be Jane.
He called her Love, and I don't think Ian's really called anybody else. I suppose like, daughter and all that kind of thing, but
they're all dead.
Love. Well, yeah, that's true. It's not going to be Lucy. Let's be honest. No. Bit of a waste of 5 years if it was Lucy. To be honest, if Lucy just turned up.
He was in a graveyard. Maybe he was using his his sixth sense and like
Powers
talking to
of persuasion.
He wasn't actually talking on the phone. He was talking to someone directly in front of him, Lucy.
Yeah, maybe.
With
Yeah,
a
he
toy
was just scratching his ear with his phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, great to see Ian. I'm really pleased that Adam came back for it. It would have been completely wrong if
it would have made no sense. In some respect.
We got exactly the sort of scene I was fully expecting. I wasn't expecting Ian to turn up in the square or do anything or kind of even communicate with anybody because of everything that's gone on with Ian. I kind of got the impression it was going to be a bit like the Wixie thing at Pat's funeral, like just kind of turn up on your own, have a moment, and then sort of walk off again. But what we also got was that moment on the phone where he's talking to somebody and then kind of walks off into the distance, and there was just one of those sort of lingering shots that sort of meant something. So that to me suggests that it's very much the show going, look, the ball's in your court, all right, we're ready to go when you are. So yeah. I hope, and there's rumours now obviously abound that Ian is returning next year. I've seen a couple of stories that Ian is making a full-time return next year. I will take that with a pinch of salt. But I think it's nice to see him back, and I'm glad that there is, at the very least, a bit of communication going on between Adam and the show. So
yeah. Apparently, he's having conversations with Chris Crenshaw. Chris Crenshaw phoned him and said, like, would you like to do it? And Ian said, would there be a place for me? Ian, Adam said, would there be a place for me? And I like you. I love the fact that they kind of left it open ended for Ian's return as well. So they've added, because they could have easily just had him stand there and kind of go, oh, bye, Dot, and then just cut
and then just walked off. But they gave him something for us to mull over,
thread,
which implies that there is some. And Chris Crenshaw has said that they know who was on the phone, so that implies that they have kind of thought about something. So there's something in the air. So I would not be surprised. Do you know what? I'm kind of expecting him to come back next year. I'll be honest. I will be surprised if he's not back by the summer. I know he's got a play to do. He's got a play to do till April. I think he's in theatre till April, and then after that, I think we'll be talking about Ian.
Do you think he would come full time though? Because I don't think he would. I think that he would now. He would strike a contract where he can kind of just pop in and out when he wants to.
Maybe.
I wouldn't hate that necessarily.
No, I mean, you got to. I think, to be honest, I think the Beals miss him. If I'm honest, I know you've got kind of Kathy there, and obviously now Peter's gone, and there's sort of not really much of the Beals left. Bobby's sort of kind of just floating around with Kathy at the moment. So there's not a huge
Freddie, isn't it?
Yeah, but she's nice. It's nice in a friendship, but it's not really kind of a family thing, is it? So you kind of, I feel like the Beals are sort of just kind of little pieces just kind of floating around the show at the moment. So for Ian to return would kind of solidify them a little bit more, which, considering they've been there since the start, would feel right. So I think we'll be talking about Ian a lot more next year, but we'll see. But apart from that, other returns, which I know you were very, very excited about. So did you get? I know that you did. So Mary and Lofty and Deezer didn't go to the square, but how nice was it to see Deezer? Deezer, I have to say, I liked her. I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't have a clue who she was. When she was announced, I was kind of like, who? It's just some characters just so don't enter, maybe I was too young to appreciate that era. I haven't seen that little bit. Because she wasn't in it a huge amount, was she? She wasn't in it for very long.
No, it was a one story, one and gone, with Diane, because they were both homeless. And then Diane bought her, but she was pregnant, and she brought her to the square when she returned to the square. And she had the child, and you found out that the child was her father who would abuse her. And Dot protected her from her father because her father was like coming back, trying to bring her back into the family. And so it made perfect sense because Deezer and Dot have this. If you can find the scenes where, because Dot like it was a real show for Dot when she defended Deezer. So it was so lovely to see Deezer back and having her, say a few lines as well. And Kathy, I love that Kathy was like the glue that bonded all these old characters together because Kathy was like pretty much the only one left. Right?
Yeah. But I think that's a good role for Kathy to have, especially now, because at one point that would have been Dot. Dot was the sort of person that everybody knew. At some point, most storylines have at some point kind of brushed past Dot at some point over the years while she was in there. So now Dot's gone, it's nice to sort of almost pass it down to Kathy, who seems a perfect character to do that with. But the service was beautiful. The Sonia's eulogy was lovely. I am really liking Sonia and Martin's relationship. I know, like, it seemed at first that they were kind of going to a bit romantic. Sonia, by the way, very much distracted by that idea by the end of the week, but we'll come to that.
She blew more than a trumpet.
I mean, that's another thing though. Some really nice kind of throwback. Sonia getting a trumpet out. It was the service beautiful. All of it absolutely bloody beautiful. I absolutely loved it. Well done. And I think it's safe to say that if we didn't know already, we know when things like the flashback episode and all of that kind of thing has happened. But we are in an era at the moment where, some mistakes might be made from different perspectives. Neither of us are massively keen on the Alfie stuff at the moment, for example, but that doesn't matter. That's subjective. What we have got, and these episodes proved it, is a team that absolutely adores this show and knows this show and knows its
they
history.
know the show, absolutely, and they're showing it.
Then that's all. If you've got that, that's all that really matters.
That's the thing, isn't it? They're respecting the history of the show. They're not just kind of throwing, as we used to say, throwing something at the wall and hoping something sticks. They've got to they almost guarantee that it will, because they're kind of referring to something that they know perhaps worked in the past, but also could be relatable to something else. Yeah, no, the funeral episode as well. I loved the kind of I'm Claudius or whatever it's called, when they all stood up and said their word about Dot in the funeral. Yeah. So because Sonia was very nervous about doing the eulogy. And then one by one, everyone stood up and gave their memory of Dot. And it wasn't, to be fair, we're saying it's Dot's funeral. It wasn't just Dot's funeral, was it? It was June's funeral too. It was.
Well, even June Brown's children were in the church scenes as well, with the mourners, which I thought was a really lovely touch. And I think because June Brown's funeral, like from what I can gather from various interviews and stuff, is it was kind of quite a private affair, probably within the COVID era, as in where very small numbers of people could have gone there. So for some of the cast, that would have been their opportunity to say goodbye to June, and it was all perfectly done. It was all beautifully, tastefully done. I cried at the end of the funeral episode when they started playing
Dot's theme
song, Abide. Well, Dot's theme, but led into with Abide With Me, which was Dot's favourite tune, which going into the EastEnders theme tune, I don't think that could have been done more perfectly. There are not words to describe how perfect that was. And that made me cry quite openly. I'd held it in all the way through, and by the end of that, I was an absolute mess. So fair play.
Well and it was nice of Jack to give Dot one pack of cigarettes to take up to heaven with her, wasn't it?
I adored that. I absolutely
Everyone threw dirt, but Jack threw a pack of fags onto the coffin.
Quite
perfect.
Right.
Absolutely perfect.
Perfectly handled.
Yeah.
And do you know what else I loved as well? I mean, obviously the funeral episode was beautiful in lots of ways, but I absolutely adored the following episode as well. The wake.
Yes, it was. The wake.
And there were some sensational scenes in that episode. No more so than the women of Walford sat around Dot's table discussing getting old.
I know. And they were all saying how they're all like the same age as Dot now, and they look so good.
That was mad. The fact that Sharon looked at a photo and said, "I'm the same age as Dot was in this photo." When that photo was taken, Sharon would have been like in pink fluffy jumper with big hair, taking Roller the dog for a walk.
Oh yeah, she was having dates with churchmen and asking Dot if she believed in like religion and stuff like that.
That statement alone nearly made me have a nervous breakdown. That was a terrifying thing because you just associate Dot as being, because I think Dot's always been sort of, even when she first came in, she was the older generation. She was hanging around with Ethel and Lou, who were the old ladies.
But she was always the youngest one of them all. She was always the baby of them all. Yeah, but
then as time went on, Dot was very much the old lady of the square, really, wasn't she? In a lot of ways, bless her. Not that she acted like it a lot of the time, but she, she very much was sort of that generation.
But it's the fact that
Sharon
Kathy
to say something like that was mad.
Kathy was like stood there looking pristine, like her, and she was like, like you say, it's like this picture of Dot of her of the same age. It's like, God.
Yeah, I know, it's mental. But that scene where they were just all discussing
Eternal Queen.
If that scene had cheesecake, that was the only thing it needed to become a scene out of the Golden Girls. Do you know what I mean? Like the way that they were all sort of discussing it, it was perfect. Really nice. Another new element that was brought in this week because of Dot's funeral was the arrival of Reiss.
I love Reiss.
Me too. Love Reiss.
Wonderfully played.
This is a guy, beautifully played actually. Really, really, really interesting character straight off the bat. Yeah. So clearly this is somebody who struggles with anxiety and had there's also some kind of thoughts going around online that he might be autistic, which would be a really interesting thing to bring into the show as well, because I don't think we've had that. I mean, we've got Ollie obviously, but as in an adult, that's kind of quite a nice thing to kind of represent on screen. So I'd be well behind that if that's actually happening. I mean, this is a guy that turns up at a wake to this woman that he doesn't really know that well. Will go into the wake and then start playing a tuba in the middle of proceedings, just in the middle of the hallway. You can't knock a guy if he's got the nerve to do that.
What can you not love about that man? What can you not love about that man?
He goes there to have a funeral and to kind of say goodbye to this lovely lady who's been sending him like letters and all that kind of thing, and spends the week bonking Sonia Jackson. That's all he did while he was there. Just had lots of sex.
But the funny
and
thing
played
is,
his tuba.
and he likes his toast dry. But
He likes his toast dry. What a great weekend!
But like, I just love it. I just, like you said, it's just like it just happened at the wake, didn't it? It's like Sonia just took her upstairs in the middle of this wake, and everyone's like, "Yeah."
Sonia was hammered. Didn't bother saying goodbye to anybody. I'm off to get laid now. See you later.
Yeah. Bye. I'm off to see Reiss.
Yeah,
I love that.
Very impressed, but clearly very impressed by the way that she was blowing her trumpet.
It's her finger work.
It's her finger work and it's her blow talents, and I think none of us are surprised. Let's be honest.
Her scales are the talk of Walford. I'm telling you,
second to none.
Second to none.
But yeah, we like Reiss a lot, so I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
A lot. Does he remind me a bit of a Bradley? Like a very innocent kind of guy, and again, the show needs a character like that. Like, there's too many. I've said this before. Too many, not necessarily just a stud, but like too many. There's too many kind of like villains, if you know what I mean, and not enough kind of kindness. And they are leaning toward more the kind of. There's much more scenes nowadays where people are going like almost. They're plot building, but they're just kind of two people talking around a table having a conversation, and then it kind of leads to kind of like a plot. And I feel like Reiss is the kind of character that kind of is needed to kind of for the show too. I love Reiss. He's brilliant.
He will be an excellent community character, I think. As you know, kind of he'll have his storylines kind of going forward. You know, moving to Walford, his life is over. Let's be fair, because then nobody has a happy life in Walford. But you know, he will be an excellent community character. So a person just kind of just sit in the Vic and have conversations with me. He seems like the sort of person that will be able to fit quite well in with some of the older characters like Patrick. I've actually been quite good friends with him. But then because of his own age, he will be able to hang around with Sonia's friends and all that kind of thing. So
well, you say that, but Sonia,
quite a useful character.
Sonia is slowly turning into Dot, isn't she? Like they keep.
Do you know what? There was a scene during the wake, I think, or just before the funeral, when when Dot's voice had been playing over, and we should mention the Pretty Baby tape as well. The fact that Sonia's eulogy was entirely based around a line that was said in that monologue. My hat's off to you. Genius idea. I was going to say, there was a scene when she was like going through and trying to write her eulogy. Just for a brief moment, she had a pen in her fingers, and I thought she had a cigarette in her hand, and I was like, well, the translation. It's just a mad moment there. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to sort of Reiss moving forward.
I hope he doesn't end up being a con artist or anything. No, that's the only thing I worried. But then my worries were put to rest a little bit when he had that photo of him and Dot. And he then showed, he proved that he was a bloodline of the Cotton family. I always
worry when proof is produced that quickly. Because it's kind of just like, why did you have that ready to go? I don't trust that at all. So if anything, that made me more worried.
No, I'm really hoping, I get you completely, but I'm really hoping that the producers have done that because of idiots like me who straight away thought, right, Reiss must be evil, Sonia can't be happy.
And he's a terrorist, I don't like him at all, he's kill everybody.
Internal terrorist, he's going to do something to the argy-bargy. No, scrap that story.
Go well last time.
That was a year ago. God, I just remembered. That was a year ago.
What's happened in a year? We've got to do our 2022 review at some point. That's going to be a roller coaster ride, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
going to be
fun. Belt up, belt in. That's what
you belt up. But yeah, I love Reiss. love Reiss a lot. And as you say, he hung around and he stayed with Sonia for the will reading. The solicitor came to the house. Dotty was adamant that she was getting everything. She got something, but not what she thought she was getting. And as a result of that, she had a bit of a paddy and then decided to leave Walford. But Sonia now is a homeowner.
She is. But not only did Dotty decide to leave Walford, she also decided to try and burn down the house with because she was
vodka and matches.
Well, I can only assume that she was trying to drink petrol, Alex, because surely petrol is the only thing that can really set fire to a house like that. You know,
well, I mean, alcohol is flammable, but I would have thought I wouldn't have thought it was that.
Not that flammable. I thought that was all a bit silly, if I'm honest with you. I wasn't too keen. I thought Dotty's exit was a little bit sort of what's the word I'm looking for here?
Forced?
Crap. I thought it was a bit of a disappointment. I thought it was disappointment for Dotty, actually, because I think Dotty, being the sort of character she is, I was kind of disappointed by the way I can get Dotty's reaction to not getting the house. That made perfect sense to me. But I think the moment for me was kind of ruined because she had been so devastated by Dot's death, and I believe that she was upset by Dot's death. So it all of a sudden seems that, like, right, funeral's over, I'm over it, right, I'm getting a house now, and yep, Sonia, you need to move out. And do you know what I mean? That I didn't feel like we had a truthful journey to get to that point. I get the paddy that she threw, and I quite enjoyed her kind of almost Punk Mary-esque exit from the square.
Yes,
I enjoyed that. But I thought the whole kind of trying to set fire to the house thing was just all a bit daft, to be honest with you. I thought it was a little bit of a disappointment.
Thing is, they've not really known what to do with Dotty for a long time.
That's very true. I think once
after
Stu
the
Brown
whole
left,
Rocky,
it was kind of. Well, I think once Stu Brown left, it was kind of just like right. So we better kind of come up with something for Dotty quite quickly. And I feel like there was, because I think Millie's era was excellent. I really
100%.
Great actress.
If they given her something to do, it would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
but they just kind of give her bits and pieces, and nothing really kind of worked for her. There was, as I said, there was the Rocky story. That was fine, but then they had to retcon that because they kind of then took that a bit too far. I'm glad that she's still the daughter of Nick. I'm glad that that's not still up in the air, and that kind of leaves time for her to come back if they want to, and perhaps with then a story. I mean,
she will.
I mean, I like kind Dotty, but also I kind of like scheming Dotty, and I think there's a place for that.
This was a disappointment thing for me with Dotty, is because actually, if you look at Dotty, that is quite a multi-layered character you've got there. There's several facets to Dotty that was never really explored all that heavily. Yes, you had I would have liked to have seen more sort of exploration of her sort of accepting who her dad was, because I always felt that Dotty almost stuck up for her dad a little bit, and I don't think that side of things was really explored all that much, like her kind of perception of her dad and her perception of what everyone thinks about Nick. So I would like to have seen more of that. There's the kind of bitchy side to her that we saw plenty of, and then the vulnerable side as well. There was a lot more to Dotty I think we could have had. So I hope she comes back one day, because there's a lot to be gleaned from her. So fingers crossed.
They're kind of setting up, for me, they've set up Dotty and Sonia as the new Dot and kind of. There's that kind of tension between them now. I think Dotty does love Sonia, but always feels like that she gets in the way of her plans. A bit. Well, like, I mean,
to be fair, Sonia had her money for no good reason for a good year or so, so you can kind of understand that kind of thing.
I mean, she's got her money for realsies now, hasn't she? About a few £1,000.
She wanted. Yeah,
Sonia really. She has no reason to do anything anymore, does she? She can just sit at home and have sex with Reiss. Now.
Yeah. She's even potted plants outside, so that's how.
She wants to start a little garden, doesn't she? Reiss is going to help her out start a little garden. It's nice to see the garden set.
Anymore. No, I don't have to work nights anymore, so I can come home and water my garden in the day. That's Sonia's life. That'll be fine.
It's nice to see the garden set at the back. We haven't seen that since. I know. What's his name? Gray was running around the square trying to hide from people.
So
it's lovely.
They still exist, because that was the big thing they talked about with the new set, wasn't it? Like,
they got back gardens.
And I was expecting scenes of like Stacey hanging out her underwear and like having a go at someone over the fence or anything. We haven't seen too much of that yet, but fingers crossed one day.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah.
On the whole, I think both of us fully agreed, and it seems pretty universally agreed everywhere, that the funeral episode and the wake episode, perfectly done. Well done to everyone involved. You absolutely did. The fans proud, I think, and I think you probably did June Brown proud as well, and you did the character of Dot absolutely proud as well. So well done to all involved. Mwah.
Absolutely. So there was more than just one return this week as well, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. So yes, a big return this week. We saw Keanu, or Keanu, as Phil will no doubt call him throughout his time on the show.
I hope he's learned to pronounce his name properly in the time that he's been away.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not one to talk, because I come out with all kinds of strange names for all different characters. To be fair,
you were calling him you called him Timothy once, I do believe.
I did. But yeah, he's back, and it looks like he's working with Keeble. However, we had an email, which I'll discuss a little bit later, on this section though, about an idea that perhaps maybe Keanu's not working with Keeble in the same way as we're meant to believe.
Ooh. I mean, I have to say, I did a proper gasp when Keanu appeared this week. I was not expecting it at all.
With hair.
It's with hair. Now, can we just shallow podcast, very shallow podcast. All right, we know. But my God, hair suits that man.
I've never got what people see in Keanu. I'm sorry. If we're gonna talk about attractive,
I didn't before, but I think he's done very well for himself in the 3 years he's been away. I don't think he was an unattractive bloke to begin with, but I think hair suits him. I think he's looking very, very well.
Well, Sharon agrees with you. Sharon would agree with you, because when Sharon had that interaction,
the two of them now are more gorgeous than they're both
fire. They are, aren't they? Actually, saying that they're both at peak. Peak Sharon and Keanu.
Well, all this is based on the fact that during the wake, it became apparent that something was wrong with Sharon. You know, she was sort of being quite more than usual.
Unhinged.
There
wasn't a bottle of wine in her hand.
No. She was looking at the photos and sort of thinking back over her life and sort of becoming quite wistful and almost kind of obviously kind of thinking about regrets, because her and Kat had a huge kind of moment between them during the wake where both of them were basically hammered, because everyone was hammered at this wake, which I loved. Which is a proper wake, isn't it? Everyone even the only difference between a wedding and a wake in Walford is the fact that there's one less person at the wake. But so they all got hammered, and Kat and Sharon had this lovely moment together where I think they really are hammering home. By the way, the Pat and Peggy thing between those two, and I have to say,
I get it.
I thought at first it was going to start feeling a little bit forced, but actually it really works with these two characters. It's just a shame that it's all about Phil. Because that doesn't feel...
Feels
especially
Frank.
with Alfie back in the scene. I know, yeah. But yeah, so basically Sharon has basically kind of begun to think that, she's wasted all her opportunities in life to kind of experience love. She's done everything wrong when it comes to her love life, and she feels like she's just going to be alone for the rest of her life. And then enter Keanu from absolutely nowhere, back to see his family, apparently, and to see his son. He's got no idea where his daughter is.
Blonde Albie.
Back to see Albie.
Don't look at him directly. Don't look at him directly, because he'll burn your eyes. How shiny his hair is.
Why do I get the feeling that kid is going to be the new Psycho when he gets old enough? I'll tell you, he's got that look about him, hasn't he?
Got roots in him.
Are you pleased to see Keanu back? What do you think? Are you kind of? What do you think?
For plot purposes, I am, because I kind of like the theory that kind of was sent to us as well from.
Yes, it's interesting.
From Leo, which I will get to in a second, but on as a character, I think he's to coin a term I used for Deezer, he's a bit of a one and done in this instance. I think he's got a place for now. I don't think he's got a place after that, other than kind of build up Karen's kind of family a little bit.
Well, that
was nice, I suppose.
Well, this is the thing. I think your opinion on Keanu returning very much depends on what your opinion of the Taylors are as a whole and as a group.
I think I don't mind the Taylors. It's just I don't think Keanu has a place.
Oh, I would disagree there, because I think that if you are going to build up the Taylors, I think Karen is at her strongest when she's being a mother. I think when Karen's doing a whole sort of comedy Karen when she's drunk and sort of like you can
drunk armadillo.
Well, yeah. I mean, you sometimes look at Karen and you think, all right, yeah, we get it. You're supposed to be White D, all right? We get it, okay? Like, we know who you are.
That's a reference.
I know, right? But I think Karen is at her best when she's being like an amazing mother. Because actually, over the years, Karen has had moments where actually I feel like Karen is one of the best mothers the Square has ever seen in a lot of ways. She's very sort of determined by her kids. She will do anything for her kids, which I know is kind of quite a cliched line to throw at mothers, but it feels like Karen is very sort of earthy with that, and it feels a bit more natural. So that for me is when Karen is at her best. So for Keanu to return and to have all these inevitable problems that he's going to bring with him will, I think, bring that out in Karen a lot more. So I feel that we might get a little less comedy Karen and a little bit more better Karen in that respect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when they introduced Karen, they brought in Chapman and Riley to soften her because they worried that she was too harsh of a character.
Which she was at the start, yeah.
And she was. And I mean, the thing is, everyone seems to be falling away from Karen, and that's the problem. And so I get what you're saying with Keanu being introduced. It kind of makes sense because then it gives Karen a purpose. That purpose being that she's going to defend and look after Keanu. Keanu's come back a bit different because Keanu was always kind of very soft, the softer side, like he was very almost vulnerable. He's been away for 3 years,
especially against Keegan. Sort of like
the harder one. Yeah. He's been away for 3 years, grown his hair a little bit, like one of those crest things. The crest grows out of the sack.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
gorgeous. Fancy Keanu, I don't mind telling you.
There you go. If the actor's listening, honestly, Rob's free.
And he's on
Grindr.
I'm unfortunately free. Make my Christmas.
but for this story, I do get it. I do get that he's back. So he's back. He's talking to Keeble. He's giving Keeble a few names. Mark Stone, also known as Brian Seeley. But this is it. So there's a theory out there. Leo sent us an email that, when Phil left the Square, he phoned someone up and he said, "I need your help." And there was loads of names being thrown around. We all pretty much thought it was Grant. What if that was Keanu, and that Keanu is bluffing Keeble in order to get Keeble off the backs of the Mitchells and Billy in particular.
It's an interesting theory because actually, the minute with the Keeble stuff, you sort of think, where does this end? Like, how? Because you've got to kind of, knowing the show and knowing like how Phil is kind of invincible in a lot of ways, you kind of got to think, yeah, there's no way that Keeble's actually going to win this, surely. So how does this end? How does Keeble lose? Billy's presumably is not going to go to prison for the rest of his life. So, yeah, it's an interesting theory that Keanu would actually be on side there. But you kind of also got to think, well, why would Phil bring Keanu, of all people, into that? So, I agree with you in the sense that there's a lot more we don't know. Which I think, because when he was reeling off all these names at Keeble, I was kind of like, how do you know this? This is
Mark Stone. I love that name. Yeah. It's such a name. Mark Stone.
It's such a gangster name. Mark Stone.
Or about Mark Stone.
Now. If you don't stop, I'll get my mate Mark Stone to deal with you.
His alias Brian Seeley is on his way. He's back in the country, and I know it. I love it. I love the text message as well. I was so just. The text messages. I hate it when there's only one text message on the phone. Like, so they haven't contacted each other. I suppose it makes some sense with Keeble. I'm moaning for nothing. It's not like
Keeble and him have had years of correspondence.
No.
Right, Keebs? Yeah, it's my mate Keebs. Excuse me, Keebs on the phone. Yeah,
but he must have got in touch with her before this whole kind of debacle began. But it doesn't matter. It's just a small
niggle.
A little niggle, and I don't want to moan about it. I want to talk about Mark Stone coming back to the country under an alias. Yes, I have a big niggle. And it's pantomime horse shaped, so Phil is organising a job apparently back in the UK, and he's brought in a few of his friends who have now got alias names. So in a funny way, I'm wondering if theory that Leo has sent to us on an email. Thank you, Leo, by the way, for the email.
Yes, thank you, Leo.
That Phil's also kind of like encompassing everyone who he's got a vendetta against to just get them all in trouble. So Keeble, Mark Stone, into a nice little bow.
That's shenanigans.
Because then that kind of like brings Phil off the hook a little bit to then become a much more settled character on the show. And then perhaps he could then maybe take a step back as being kind of like the main story, because then the Panasars could step forward, and then so it makes sense for them to then become more of an Empire-esque role on the square. So I feel like this is kind of like this wrapping up of Phil Mitchell a little bit and making more of a grandpa Phil.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the wrapping up of Phil, but there is always that kind of thing in the air that Phil cannot be King Linchpin for the rest, for all of his days. He is, with all due love and reverence, Phil isn't getting any younger. So there does have to be surely that one day where Phil isn't sort of the king of Walford anymore. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to come with this because the Keeble stuff is kind of ticking along in the background, but it's not been spoken about in weeks. Because obviously Phil hasn't been around. So. And Billy's kind of just walking on the streets as though he hasn't got a massive kind of murder court case hanging over him.
Well, also Billy's got other problems on his mind. So Lola. Problems. Well, Lola, and Lola's news this week, where there's no other cures for her, and going private's not going to work out for her. So Billy's kind of rough, isn't it? It is with Lola's story. It's really going to get rough. Can I just say? That moment when she was in the doctor's surgery,
that moment.
And you just the camera just focused on Lola, and the tears just streamed down her face, and you just heard everyone around her, like she was just kind of like blanking it all out and just kind of coming to terms with what was being said around her. That was brilliant.
Yes, you did hear that right. We did just praise sound effects.
but it was done right. So this is what I mean. It wasn't over the top. It was subtle.
No, it wasn't. It was,
It was, and plus we've not had a barrage of sound effects up until that point. Lola sitting in the taxi. No, exactly. No slow motion or anything like that. It was a one-off, and it was nice, and it was in context, and it worked out nicely.
Well done.
But Lola's story, just to wrap it up with the whole Keanu story, the end it with Lola's story, that's going to be heartbreaking. Absolutely really soul destroying.
We've questioned this a few times, but much longer does Lola have left, do you think? We don't know anything at this point whatsoever, we should point out. Sometimes we'll be
her mum's coming in.
But played by Patsy Kensit, no less.
Yes.
I have to say, I've wanted Patsy Kensit in EastEnders for years. I'm quite just to guess. Genuinely, I think she'd be perfect in there. And to be honest with you,
popping her peas.
It's kind of a guest role. So maybe, I think she'd be great as a full-timer in EastEnders. I really do.
Because she's done other soaps, hasn't she? She's done Emmerdale and Coronation Street. Is it just Emmerdale?
I think she only did Emmerdale because she played it. Because I remember when she came into Emmerdale, they were making a big thing about her being like the new Kim Tate. because Kim hadn't been in it for a few years. And they were hiring this new bitch, and like Patsy Kensi's character arrived in a helicopter, so because Kim had exited in a helicopter, so they were sort of handing that down.
I see.
Yeah.
I love Kim Tate.
Yes.
Remember we were talking about like the Emmerdale special. Did you watch any of that when she was riding her horse in the wind? I loved that moment. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but yeah.
That whole anniversary of Emmerdale was absolute insanity from start to finish. It's just flying caravans, for goodness sake.
Perfect.
Yes, so Lola, I think, has probably got a couple of months left at the most of this storyline, and it's going to be really, really rough. And they're doing it incredibly, incredibly well. But to tie up the Keanu stuff, we need to kind of briefly discuss the fact that is Keanu and Sharon, are we getting the return of Keanu? Because I have to say, deep down, it feels wrong to say, but I thought Keanu was an absolute howl from start to finish. I love Keanu. That whole affair was incredible.
Yeah, and they have that chemistry, don't they? Like Sharon fancies him, he fancies her.
And do you blame
I'm on.
Let's be fair here.
I'm on board for it. I'm 100% on board with it. And Sharon's now a free agent, so
she is. And it's all kind of
Phil has no reason to be upset with her for this.
No, none whatsoever.
He will be, but he has no reason.
He will be. Of course, he will. But I just kind of feel like does this kind of draw a line underneath Phil and Sharon, or does
it doesn't, does it? Because again, we're talking the next topic we'll talk about, but it doesn't, because of what Kat did this week. Leads nicely, I suppose, to our next conversation. So here we go. Get ready, guys. It's Panto season. Next up is the pantomime. But before we start, I just want to say that we've got a cat. The cat's decided to join us. So if you see me,
the world's gayest Bond villain. Look at the state of you, honestly.
Shall I say ho ho ho, Mr. Bond again?
Again. There we are. So yes,
go.
The pantomime this year. It happened. I think the best thing that can be gleaned from this is the fact that it's now happened. So it's not a thing anymore.
At least it's done, and it's not done over Christmas week. So Christmas week can be more compact and stuff that we want to watch. Not bloody Shane. Not Shane, sorry, Alfie.
No, it's not Shane's fault, to be fair. I honestly thought this was a mess. Honestly, I didn't like this at all. I said this on the Facebook group, and everyone kind of jumped to its defence, which, proves more than anything else that we're not afraid to kind of have our opinions questioned, and that we're not the gatekeepers of EastEnders in any way, shape, or form.
Not the gatekeepers!
Not the gatekeepers, but my God, I hated this. Do you know what? I just thought the whole thing was a bit. We had an interesting, little moment when we were talking about this before we pressed record, where we both said, "Well, actually, seeing as though me and you have both done amateur dramatics in our ancient lives, we kind of understand theatre and ancient times, and doing amateur dramatics and everything, and we know that there was a lot of nonsense in the making of this pantomime because." The fact that it all got put together within a couple of days, and the fact that, they got all these sensational costumes apparently from, people that owed Alfie a favour or whatever.
And Sharon's money from her gym.
Sharon's money, yeah. How much money did Sharon actually put into this production? And I hope that she was ashamed that she did it. I hope her gym now closes down, because the people who went to see that went, what, you think I'm giving you money? After that, I think not. I'd rather be fat.
And her only input was being the caster, casting, wasn't she?
Yeah, and even that didn't last long, did it?
No,
they got poisoned.
Yeah. Freddie on the sausages.
But Freddie gave Honey laxatives so that she couldn't be Snow White
anymore.
No,
it was the off sausages, wasn't it? I thought.
No,
Billy...
he gave her No. It had nothing to do with the sausages. That's the excuse that she gave because she had to run to the loo. Did you not see the scene where she was like, "Oh, Honey's sick." I know, right? But no, he said that Honey's sick, and then Alfie looks across at Freddie and he waved these laxatives at him.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He had poisoned, basically,
more
kind of
nonsense.
Spiked Honey's tea or whatever with laxatives so that she
don't get Freddie involved. Don't get Freddie involved with stupid Alfie stories, please. Thank you very much. Freddie's got a potential here. Oh, he's off. Freddie's got potential here. Do not get him. Yeah, even Charlie's
annoyed. I mean, the thing is with Alfie at the moment, right? He's becoming incredibly weird with this whole cat thing.
Oh, isn't he just?
Another thing is, the problem with this is the fact that I know full well that what we're supposed to be feeling is the fact that, oh, Alfie's back and Kat's there, and this is obviously, Alfie's just doing the Lord's work and trying to put them both together. When actually, Kat has said no to him many a time, and he has kind of moved into her house, and done all that kind of weird thing. She keeps walking into rooms, and he's decorated it within an inch of his life with budgets that can only be gleaned from London's Christmas decorations kind of
Sharon money. What's money? I'm telling you.
I mean, how much money? That's where the money
budget
went. Alfie took that straight out of the Panto budget and spent it all on decorating Kat's living room.
I think weren't we meant to believe that the Panto set was the decorations that he then used in Kat's living room? I think.
Probably. I don't know.
Because he was trying to sell them on, wasn't he? Which
I was too
made no
annoyed
sense
by that
either.
point.
No. I was just wound up.
And then
Then
they had, and everything that's kind of led up to this point apparently worked because Kat ended up kissing him because she finds Alfie completely and utterly irresistible. Now I know that the two choices that she has at the moment, I don't know.
Rock in a hard place.
Would you? So,
I would go for Phil because we know that. Yeah, well, we know from the past women of Phil that Phil's actually not that bad, and he's quite well.
That's true. He's sensational in bed. We have Tracy's word for it. Yes, Tracy's reference
Tracy,
is enough.
Denise, Sharon.
They all
say I wouldn't have slept with him, but I'm glad I did. Yeah. So we know that Phil's pretty decent in bed. Well, Alfie, we got no record.
You know what the thing is here, though? It's the fact that a lot of people, when Kat and Phil were a thing, and still are a thing, obviously, and frankly, I'm amazed it's lasted this long, Kat and Phil. But all the way through, people were going, Kat and Phil, what are you talking about? This is ridiculous. This is stupid. This doesn't work. Like, what's going on here? And so the medicine for that is to bring Alfie back, who is obviously Kat's soulmate, and we were supposed to automatically jump on that and say, oh, well, obviously, this is what it's meant to be. So hurry up, Alfie, do your thing. Go, Alfie. And it's not working for me on that respect. Because
it's not working for anyone, to be fair.
I appreciate the
popular
history.
Choice.
I don't know, because I appreciate the history. I know the history. I've watched the history, all right? I know Kat and Alfie, all right? But I also know that they are kind of really bad for each other, as they have both said to each other on many occasions over the years. They're a very toxic relationship. No less so than when Alfie last left the square. That was kind of the height of their toxicity. It was awful. And it kind of feels weird that Kat would want to go back there. I kind of was really thinking that Kat had really moved on from Alfie in that respect. Yes, he's the father of her children. I know that. And that's a bond that actually is so difficult to break. All right, I get that. Especially when you're Kat and you've got children coming out your ear old.
It's the Slater way, isn't it? The Slater way.
It is the Slater way. Her and Stacey, honestly, the creche just with their kids alone. But I don't know. It just feels kind of a bit lecherous from Alfie at this stage, and I feel like that's not supposed to be the feeling because it's Kat and they've got this history together. But just the way that he's going about it just feels a little bit sort of. I mean, for start the whole thing with the Panto, the whole point of all of that was for Alfie to cast her as Snow White so that he could kiss her on stage in front of everybody. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
It's a bit weird. It's unhinged.
It's very weird. It's
if it was anybody else, they'd have called the police by now. So there's a very strange man after me trying to make me do a pantomime so he can kiss me in front of all my friends. Can you come and arrest this man, please? He's a bit weird.
The fact that he said to Kat that this is you cannot excuse everything because it's Alfie. And I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying they cannot keep using the excuse.
But that's what they're trying to do.
That's what Alfie is.
Yeah.
And the Panto. Put aside the fact that Alfie was essentially
the worst pantomime, by the way, ever.
Without consent, Alfie was trying to kiss Kat. Told her outright he was going to do it, and still went ahead and tried to do it after Kat told him, "No, I don't want you to do it." So luckily, Kat had tricked him and put Karen in the coffin. The pantomime itself.
Can I say again? I'm very pleased Keanu's back. If we're going to have less of that side of Karen,
the drunken armadillo. Putting aside all of that horrible stuff. We then had to endure an absolute beep show of a flipping pantomime that was awful with rapping and rhyming and Alfie again standing up on stage and all the audience going, ha 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 ha, Alfie. At one point,
rolls at every given opportunity.
I swear to God, if that
spitting everywhere, he's that furious by it.
If I was in that audience, I would have got that sound Yamaha keyboard and just smashed it over Freddie's head and said, "If you do that one more time, I swear to God." With his iPad in his hand, I don't know how it works. And even Rocky, Rocky was. You saw him laughing. sorry. Even you saw Rocky laughing, and I was so angry at that because Rocky is literally Alfie. And if I was Rocky, I wouldn't have had him laughing. I would have had him stood there like that, going, "Well, this is dumb." Because
to be honest, I quite enjoyed Rocky versus Alfie. I quite like the fact that they don't like each other. That's quite amusing to me. I like that. I know. I mean, the thing is that on the other side of the coin, I know. Sorry. On the other side of the coin, devil's advocate and all that kind of thing. It's Christmas. It was supposed to be fluffy. It was supposed to be funny. Whether it landed with us or not,
but it wasn't. The point. It wasn't fluffy, and it wasn't funny, and I hated every minute of it.
To some people, it will have been.
But they're wrong.
What you got to say? But regardless of the panto, I just think that this whole Cat and Alfie thing is just kind of. I mean, for a start, it's going around in circles, it's going around in so many circles. Get on with it, all right? We know this is where it's going to go eventually, so can you just hurry up, please, so that we can move on and sort of because presumably the next stage of this is for them to get back together and then get back behind the bar of the Vic. That's kind of why we've assumed Alfie's back in the first place, surely. Which kind of makes all of this behaviour much more worse because we kind of think, he really doesn't deserve the Vic now. I was with it when he was announced because I kind of got why they brought him back because it was a very safe move after Mick. It was a great. I thought it was quite a clever move to bring Alfie back to fill that role. But his behaviour up to this point has not made me think he deserves to have the Vic.
I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
He's not endearing himself to me whatsoever. So I don't know.
This is the thing. I'm so worried about him getting the Vic now and what's going to happen because then, as we say, the Vic is the nucleus of the whole square. So all the big stories happen pretty much round. There's always going to be a story that happens around the owners of the Vic.
Yeah,
and huge. I don't care for him to have. I mean, maybe they're introducing him just to kind of familiarize character. Maybe there are new people who watch the show. I'm doubtful that they're going to be stupid enough to think that what Alfie is doing is okay.
Who is this strange man that's arrived and is writing pantomimes in order to get Cat into bed? Yeah. Who is this bloke? I don't imagine there's that many people are doing that, but I don't know. Please let us know in the comment section below. You know us. We love to be told we're wrong, all right? And we
normally are.
We're wrong about this. We normally are, to be fair, and we're quite happy to do that. That's what the whole point of a discussion in the community is, all right? That's why you do a podcast. We don't preach. We just kind of talk to each other and invite your opinions, all right? Please tell us why we're wrong about Alfie being the best thing that is happening to Cat at the moment, all right? Yeah. The thing is about it as well.
And what you hope to see from him as well.
Yeah, what do you want? What do you want? Where do you want this to go? Do you want Alfie back behind the bar of the Vic, or are you thinking that this story is going to go in another direction? I've seen a few people say that Linda and Sharon could work together behind the bar of the Vic, and that would be pretty cool. But
I'll take it.
Done before friends behind the bar of the Vic, as opposed to a husband and wife act. That would be interesting. I don't know. Let us know in the comment section below. The thing is about this, I think what has really cemented Alfie feeling weird for me is the fact that I felt that Cat had moved on was the fact that they brought in a whole new character for Sonia, a great new character for Sonia. And I always miss it when they bring in new characters to get into a relationship as opposed to just kind of sticking established characters together because that feels like that's what they should do. You know? I feel like I would have been interested to sort of see Cat with someone brand new because it would be interesting to sort of see Cat go through that stage again. Because we've not seen Cat do that for years. I know she went with Phil, but it was like they know each other. So she doesn't have to do any of the stuff that Cat does when she goes into that mode. You know what I mean?
I mean, Phil and Cat felt like a means to an end when they could put them together. It's like they kind of like a few spare parts and they thought, well, let's try it and see how it goes.
I never hated Cat and Phil as much as I wanted to hate Cat and Phil. I kind of thought that...
I was always kind of just a meh about it, I
don't know. It did feel like there were two characters pulled out of a hat and gone, yeah, these two are in a relationship now, which that could have been anything. Cat and Patrick could have been happening by now in that theory. I mean, they'd be great together. Let's be honest. They'd just get drunk together all day long. Perfect. They'd have a great time.
Perfect.
I don't know, but the way that I think it's the way that Alfie is going about this. All right, it's just a bit stalkery. It seems a bit weird, and I don't think
I love that you were doing a bit rapey, a bit stalkery.
It's not rapey yet. Let's not go there.
No.
I just, I don't know. The thing is, I know for a fact that that's not how this is supposed to be coming across. That's the main thing with this, isn't it? We're supposed to be loving this and sort of seeing this nice, fluffy story and we're enjoying Alfie's antics. Whereas we're kind of seeing it from a different perspective, which I don't think they've really considered it might come across that way.
It's really weird because when they reintroduced Alfie, Chris Clench was very clear that he's bringing back the Alfie that we loved. Not the Alfie that returned last time, but the Alfie that we saw, like the lovable, cheeky, chappy Alfie. And I feel like perhaps we're now at a time when that's just not acceptable anymore.
It's different.
And it's different, and we don't want that. It's a different time. We don't want that in our soap. I mean, for me, I'm interested because classic EastEnders is now at the point where Alfie's and the Moons are getting introduced. And
that would be interesting to sort of compare the two.
I'm curious to know whether it's actually what we're watching is a carbon copy of that, and it's just that nowadays an audience. Yes, he's older, but nowadays an audience isn't particularly interested in that anymore. It's not particularly new. I don't know, and that's what's kind of falling a bit flat with Alfie because every moment he has when he's stood out and he's got an audience in front of him, I just sit there and I just cringe and I hate it.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. But actually, you know, thinking back to Alfie in the old days, that kind of was Alfie back then. You know, Alfie has always been able to immediately walk in and hold a room because he's just got that cheeky, chappy persona that we're used to TV characters kind of being able to sort of own a room and immediately have an audience watching them, and for them to be able to do their thing and sort of win over a crowd. Alfie's always been able to do that. But I think the problem is that I think that his motives are what's making it feel a little bit cringy because we know why he's doing all of this, and for us, the motives are what is making this feel uncomfortable because obviously Cat and Alfie are supposed to be soulmates, and so I feel a bit like I'm whinging for no reason because that's not how I'm supposed to be seeing this. You know, it's weird. Yeah. Please let us know in the comment section below what you think out of all this. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right. All opinions welcome. Stick them in the boxes below or by any of our social medias, which we'll give you at the end of the show.
As you may have noticed, it's Christmas soon, and the big Christmas story is starting. It's not, let's say, starting to ramp up. It's getting to its peak right now.
It's on the ramp.
It's on the ramp. It's ready to be loaded, and it's Janine, obviously the Carter's story. Mick getting married to Janine. Scarlet has been investigated by Shirley after a manicure.
Shirley.
Sherlock Shirley with her green manicure set. Scarlet's covering for Janine, her mum, because Janine's kind of said to her, well, if you want this happy... Yeah, but bless her, she's kind of... There's a lot of stress on her life. She doesn't know whether she's doing the right thing or not.
Whatever happens, this poor kid's going to have an appalling Christmas. I feel quite bad for Scarlet throughout this entire thing because she's not going to have a fun time this week, is she?
Well, I think her return in like 8 years' time, and when she'll be Janine Jr., damaged. You know, very damaged material.
Our next Janine, she's going to be very damaged.
Poor Scarlett's covering up the secret. Covering up two secrets. One, the secret that she knows that her mum was driving the car when Linda got done for drunk driving, and two, the picture of her putting the evidence in the bin. Although, again, unless you know the context, it's very difficult to kind of point out the kind of like the lie there. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be interesting to see how they actually reveal it all. Because, the photo, as we've said a few times, doesn't actually prove all that much. I think the most it proves is that Janine maybe wasn't where she said she was when she spoke to Mick on the phone, because she said she was on her way to Claire's. No, she said she was at Claire's, didn't she?
Yes.
When she spoke to Mick. So that picture sort of says that she wasn't where she said she was. So I don't know. I think Scarlett's going to be quite a key component. But also, she now also has Shirley on her back. Because Shirley has overheard her talking to Scarlett and saying, saying very helpfully, right, we need to keep this secret. Mick can never know. That is our little secret. So now
Shirley stood behind the door like that.
Yeah, like literally kind of smoking a fag. I'll bear that in mind, thank you. And now is kind of all over Scarlet, trying to sort of just be this lovely little grandma, like taking the most un-Shirley-ish thing that you could possibly imagine her doing, is manicuring a little girl's nails. Like Shirley has never been into it. You know, even when Shirley was a mother, you know, I can't exactly imagine like her doing that to her daughter. Really, it's not really a thing Shirley does, bless her, but she tried.
She's not maternal in any kind of state of the word, really. And she's
she did give Mick a kiss this week. She gave Mick a kiss on the head and said, "Well, that's your kiss for the year." And do you know what? I fully believed her.
yeah, because I think she's kind of defending Mick because it's almost like she's making up for every single mistake she's done up until this point of Mick's life, and so she feels like and so she feels like she's got to investigate the whole Janine scenario, because Janine wanted Mick to buy out Linda. Mick couldn't tell Linda that he wanted to do that, so he made the decision that he was going to sell to Linda. And it feels like this. We've kind of just been floating along with this story to come to next week, which is obviously the Christmas, the big Christmas bang. Because every week now, there's something that gets in the way between Janine and Mick related to Linda, like her getting pregnant, then moving the wedding. And Mick always wants to tell Linda first, but then Janine's the first to tell Linda. And so they've been doing that kind of rinse repeat a couple of times this week.
I mean, I have to say, I did quite enjoy that scene where Janine was sort of trying to make Linda aware that the wedding was happening and was happening very, very soon by a way of talking to Kathy and saying as loudly as she possibly could so that Linda was in earshot. So you'll be doing my food for my wedding in a couple of days' time, and then just staring at Linda to make sure that she heard. Quite enjoyed that. See, the thing is, we have a lot if we are to assume that Mick is leaving on Christmas Day, which I think has sort of been said that that's going to be Mick's last episode. There is a lot to squeeze in, because apparently we've got a wedding which seems to be completely unconnected to the events of Christmas Day. Yeah. We also, spoiler, siren. If you don't want to know this stuff, if you've somehow avoided this, then kind of fast forward a few bits, because we're going to talk spoilers.
And also well done.
And also well done. Tell us how you did it, because we have no clue. We
took the black pill.
Perfectly aware. We should take the black pill. We are sort of aware that there is a car that's going to go flying off a cliff at some point. Now, for a start, where is the nearest cliff in London? Because there seems to be, on Christmas Day, all the Carters and Janine kind of sat round the Vic kitchen table. So I don't know how we go from that to going over a cliff. How far do you have to travel towards the nearest cliff in London? I don't know. But there's a lot that needs to be kind of crammed in, a lot of information. Are we going to have Janine Carter? Is that going to be a thing before this story explodes? Is Nick going to make it down the aisle? What's going to happen, Alex? So many questions.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Because if she does marry Mick, then and if Mick should die, then surely Janine would inherit. Or there'll be a contest.
No, surely not.
Well, no, because or there'll be a contest for the will. But then, see, the thing is, I thought when Mick said he wanted to sell the Vic, I thought Janine would be a lot more fight for it, because she kind of made a point of saying like this, I love the Vic. The Vic and her dad living there, although they only lived there for like 6 months. So it was a long time they were together.
She's pinned a lot of this on that 6 months on her life as a whole, hasn't it? It's doing a lot of heavy lifting that 6 months. I
want to go back to the good old days when I used to scream the house down and Pat took me to therapy.
My really miserable childhood. Those were the days.
And my nan before she got the dementia. They were the days.
I mean, there is just so much to squeeze out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love that there are so many questions still hanging in the air, because very often with these big sort of storylines, we sort of can very easily put the pieces together as to how everything's going to happen. And that really isn't the case this time around. There's a lot going on that we have no idea how it's all going to happen. So I'm really excited. I'm nervous for Christmas Day. I'm not going to lie. The most nervous I've been in quite a long time for a Christmas Day episode, because Christmas Day is when the excrement tends to hit the fan. So I am very nervous about what's going to happen. I mean, final predictions, because the next time that we do a podcast recording, we will know, the next time that we record a podcast, we will know, and we will have watched it, and we will be dissecting it all heavily. So, final predictions. How do people leave? Do you reckon Mick's going to die?
No.
Really? You changed your mind? Because I now think he is going to die. We've completely changed it.
We've gone the other way around.
I 100% think Mick's going to die. I do not think there is any way that he wouldn't. The way him and Linda are at the moment, right? Clearly, those two are meant to be together, right? We get that, all right? We know that. So there is no way that Linda would stay in London and Mick would just walk away. No way. I don't believe that for a second. So I don't see how Mick and Linda are being apart without Mick with Mick alive. I don't see how that's in any way possible.
I think if they do kill Mick, it will be done in a kind of a dirty den way that you'll never see him actually die, so that he's in limbo. He could be dead. But if Danny Dyer ever made the decision to come back, they could easily bring him back as well.
As soon as I'm a celebrity, get on the phone. Oh, sugar! I better go back to EastEnders.
Yeah.
I need to work.
I mean, I don't think he's in trouble for work, but yeah, no, that's how I think they'll do it. I think that would please Mick. That would please Danny Dyer, because Danny Dyer was quite adamant he wanted the character to die. I think it will please the production crew. Apparently, yes, rumoured. Apparently,
I see. The thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if all that has been performance as well. I wouldn't put that past Danny Dyer for a second to sort of build up his own exit. Do you know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, but that seems very much in Danny Dyer's character to sort of like make it all seems like, oh, he's Mick going to die. He's Mick going to die. Just to get loads of people watching. That seems like a very sensible thing to do.
Yeah,
so,
fair enough.
I don't know.
I just think it pleases. I think it pleases all camps. I think that if they give the illusion that he's died, but done off screen, because if he was in the car and it came off the cliff and they didn't find him, it's a bit like Dee in Neighbours when Toadie and Dee flew off the cliff and went into the sea, and Dee was dead, and then recently they brought her back. But it was fake. There was that big story. I don't watch Neighbours, but I know there was a story when they
doesn't sound like it.
Yes, but so I think that if they were to do that and they were to have Mick kind of die off the cliff or whatever, then he could be dead or he might not be dead. But it's
why would he fake his
dead.
own death? Why would he fake his own death?
He might, because it gets him out of trouble, doesn't it? He might find out all this stuff about Janine, and he knows that Janine might be, he might know, he might hear about, because don't forget also Patrick mentioned to Shirley this week about her having the affair with Paul when she was with Barry, and then she killed. She killed Barry. If Mick should get shot of that, Mick might think to himself, "Oh, hang on, I'm in trouble here." And he always wanted an out, so this could be an out.
So essentially, you think he's going to go in witness protection to get away from Janine. Is your theory.
I mean, I've heard lesser. Janine can. We know Janine can do. We don't know what Janine will do. I agree. If Janine's that desperate, we know that Janine would do some crazy things.
I also think there's a very good reason why Cliff is involved. I
Poor
think
Cliff.
That's quite deliberate. I feel like
Cliff Richard's always involved over Christmas. You should call.
I feel.
Where's Freddie when you need him?
I feel like the Cliff is very deliberate. I mean that's a nice theory, but okay. So basically, in conclusion, I think real death, you think fake death. Okay, so that's
fake death. But
how do you think?
All in all,
how do you think Janine's going to leave? How do you think Janine's going to leave?
Janine's going to hang around, and then find out that there's nothing for her and leave. I don't think she'll leave immediately. As simple as that. But we know she's going. She has to go, and she has to go in the next few weeks. I don't think she'll fight with Linda anyway. Sorry, I keep interrupting. My bad.
I think it's going to be. That's all right. I think it's going to be a sort of whatever happens on that cliff. I think he's going to force Janine to go on the run, and Janine's going to run away, and sort of we're going to have one final. I think that's what's going to happen. A bit of a reversal from the last time Janine exited, where she is getting away with murder, but she's not really getting away with it. She needs to keep running. So she's left Scarlet in Walford, hence why Ricky's there. Ricky's going to take Scarlet away with him when he eventually moves away, because I don't think him and Sam are very long for this world.
Oh, don't you? I think him and Sam, I think they're building something there.
No, I don't agree. I feel like Sam's going to stay. Sam's going to stay. We're not losing Sam. I don't think that for a second.
I hope we don't, but I just feel like...
What was the point in bringing her back if you're going to lose her that quickly?
I could say the same about bloody Alfie.
About anybody. And you will. And
I shall. Make Alfie go with Ricky. Have them have an affair.
I think Janine's going to go on the run for whatever happens, because actually the police are going to be after Janina once all this comes out.
But that's what I was going to say, because Janine's going to need to go. She's going to get arrested for the whole Lynn thing anyway.
Exactly.
And what if she gets
on the run?
Yeah, and what if she gets attached also to Mick's death as well? So then, as you say, then she'll go on the run. So yeah, actually, I see where you're coming from there. I think you're right. Maybe
either that or she's going to get arrested and be sent to prison. But I feel like that's going to be a lengthy thing that is going to be require more episodes than Charlie Brooks has got left, if I'm honest.
But that's the problem, isn't it? Do they do all off
that's
screen?
Why I'd see, which would be ridiculous for Janine to have all that happen to her off screen. So yeah, no, I 100% think she's going on the run, and I think you're
right. I retract my theory of
my
boring theory.
Very easily swayed you, aren't you?
I am on this occasion because I think I see where you're going, and also I think it would be a bit boring for Janine just to be kind of like, oh well, nothing for me here now. Off we go. Come on, Scarlet.
Come on, Scarlet.
Yeah. And I think it would be a shame to lose Scarlet, but like they need to put her into some kind of unit where she'd be. I am 1,000,000,000% convinced that she is why Ricky is back, and Ricky is going to go off, return to Spain, and take Scarlet with her. I will be stunned if that's not what happens with Scarlet. Genuinely. Fair's enough skis.
But please let us know in the comment section. This is going to be your last opportunity to throw your final theories out there as to how the hell this Christmas is going to play out. It feels like this is going to be the biggest Christmas we've had in years, doesn't it? I'm so excited. Nervous and scared, but massively excited.
This is the first Christmas in a very long time. Double Ashdown. It's the first Christmas in a very long time where I'm excited to see it because it's a story that I'm keen to kind of see through. I'm a bit disappointed at the schedule though. Why is it on so late? By 9:45.
It's been on that time for the past couple of years.
Yeah, but I don't see why they couldn't have. If I was the controller of BBC One, I do not see why. I do not see why.
Extremely unlikely scenario, Alex. Yes,
it might happen. I do not see why. I do not see why they don't push. They've put Strictly on, then EastEnders, then follow it to Call the Midwife, because then EastEnders is sandwiched between two shows that they know are going to be watched.
I agree.
And then EastEnders, and EastEnders is, but it's also Christmas is a good time of year to kind of push the ratings. And I don't think I just don't think there's going to be anything on the Christmas episode, violence or scenes or anything like that, which would cause it any kind of controversy to not be shown about 8 o'clock.
No.
I think 8 o'clock seems a fine time. And everyone knows that, EastEnders at Christmas is miserable. It's not like people are going into it thinking, oh, great, it's going to be the most happiest time of the year.
Cheerful.
Yeah. Well, we do it. It's a joke. It's a running joke. It's like, oh, here we go. Let's get depressed for the Christmas cheer. Here comes EastEnders. They should have sandwiched it between the two guaranteed ratings pullers. Anyway,
I agree.
That's my opinion.
But that's that on that, isn't it?
And do not put it on iPlayer in the morning. Do not do that.
They won't. They're not doing that.
They didn't do it with Dot's funeral, which I was so pleased about because they had a real community.
I promise you, they're not doing that. Look at me as if I know, but I promise you, they won't.
Control of BBC One.
Especially if they did that for the last 2 episodes. I mean, for Christ's sake, they kept the following episode kind of off iPlayer to stop Keanu's return being spoiled.
Yes.
So there's no way that they're sticking Christmas Day on iPlayer before it starts. No way.
But Christmas Day is looking good on BBC One, isn't it? Sorry, just to completely go off subject. Strictly, if you enjoy Strictly, which I don't, but I'll just get drunk. Then, Call the Midwife if you like Call the Midwife. But then they got the Ghosts comedy special, which I love Ghosts. Oh, do you not like Ghosts? You're an ITV guy, are you? You're going to watch ITV and Channel 4? Or just Netflix?
Can't wait for ITV's Christmas special of The Chase. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, one of many.
You notice ITV's schedule on Christmas tends to be the word Christmas thrown in front of their usual Tuesday afternoon schedule.
Yeah. You're right. Christmas Dickinson's real deal.
Yeah, great.
They should do a Christmas countdown on Channel 4. I'd enjoy that. They could have a jingle bell
by the clock.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
So please let us know in the comment section below your final opportunity to throw all your theories on. The questions I have for you is, how is Mick going to leave? How is Janine going to leave? How the hell does a car go flying over a cliff? And what the hell is going to happen on Christmas Day? Throw all your suggestions and theories into the comment section below and send us them via email or do anything you like, but let us know your theories, please. And we shall read them out next episode and see how wrong or right we all were. One final thing in this big old mammoth episode is your old favourite, I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't want to gossip.
So thank you as always to everyone who sent their emails to us. alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com, robwalfordweekly@gmail.com. As Rob said, do send us emails of your Christmas theories. We always try to read out as many as we can. We got loads actually this week, but I'm going to read out a couple that caught my eye. So the first one is from Lisa Jackson, and it says, Alex and Rob, you are wonderful, and I love the show.
Oh, mwah. Me too.
I usually agree with you, and when I don't, I see your point, but you feel sorry for Janine? No! After all the toxic things she's done during this stint in the show and in the past, I don't care if she gets run over by Mick in a Mack truck.
Good.
She is awful. Yes, she has feelings, and once in a very rare instance, she does something for someone else, but she is so selfish and horrible. I really hope Mick finds out all the nasty things she's done to his family behind his back, and gets to unleash on her and break her evil little tiny Grinch heart.
Ooh.
Love the podcast.
Well,
keep up the good work. Happy Christmas. Regards, Lisa in New Jersey. Jersey.
You regret
Sorry,
doing
Lisa.
that now, don't you?
I do, yeah.
You
Carry
regret
on.
that. You do, so you should.
Send me root beer.
Thank you, Lisa.
Send me root beer,
Thank
Lisa,
you.
please. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that email. And do you know what? I know exactly what she's referring to when she says about me feeling sorry for Janine, and that is the moment where she was kind of just standing there watching Linda and Mick kind of all over each other while she's trying to sort of do. I do feel sorry for her in that moment because I can imagine how that feels. For Janine, this is the woman who all she ever does is everything she ever does is because she wants to be loved. But there's a sad story in Janine somewhere. If you scratch the right at the right bit, yes, she's a mare, she's a baggage and a cow. But she does things for a logical reason sometimes, and that's kind of Janine all over, really. But I'm very what I'm actually interested in, and why I'm glad that, and I'm not saying that none of the other writers could do this justice. I'm not saying that for a second, but it is why I'm glad that Simon Ashdown is writing these 2 episodes, because he was there hundreds of years. When Janine was at her height.
Sorry, Simon. We're not calling you old. We're calling you.
He knows I love him. He knows I love him. Any episode, just watch any episode. I gush over Mr. Ashdown, and. So he knows Janine inside out. I know he does. So he will do these episodes absolute justice. And he will, I think, be able to give us a little bit of Janine vulnerability one more time before she goes again. I'm still furious at Charlie Brooks for leaving.
I know.
She's done this to me.
I don't blame her. She's got a paycheck and run.
I'm running away from. I can't believe I've had Janine back in my life for such a short amount of time, and now she's going again. I'm so upset.
I know.
She better return. She better return. She said she's open to another return, so that's nice. That's good.
I think she will return.
I mean,
the thing is, yes, obviously Ginny is evil, but you have to remember her dad.
She's not evil. She's misunderstood.
Misunderstood. You have to remember
Barry
her dad
slipped.
was Frank Butcher. And I don't know, if you watch that clip, you kind of see that she didn't help Barry. And she didn't grab Barry's hand when he fell.
Once he'd slipped,
what could she have done? He could have got an ambulance out there. Exactly. But you have to remember her dad is Frank Butcher. Her dad was very damaged and didn't really take care of her very well. He faked his own death. Like Mick, parallels. I don't know.
Ooh, interesting. Maybe.
Yes. We got one more email, and the subject is simply says "in return!" ! And it's from Maisie. Hi, Maisie. It says, "Hello,
Maisie.
Alex and Rob. I am absolutely flabbergasted by Ian's return and the nature of it. What does this mean for the character? Because surely that scene was a storyline set up. Who the beep was he talking to? Was it Jane? He has a phone. Has anyone spoken to him? Let me know what your thoughts are."
He has a phone? What's going on?
That was a thing, wasn't it? On Twitter, I saw that everyone was saying that he had an iPhone, like the newest iPhone.
He did have an iPhone. I did notice
Ian Beale
that,
Ian Beale would never shell out for a top of the range iPhone. No. He would have gone for an Android, the cheapest Android he could find. He would have found an Oppo.
Nokia.
Yeah.
Nokia he plays Snake on.
Yeah, exactly. So, we talked about Ian's return, but I just wanted to read out that email because that kind of condenses everyone's excitement. I think everyone was so happy to see Ian Beale return, wasn't he?
It was right. It was so right that he was back. It was so right that he was back. And I like the fact that they kind of threw some little crumbs at us to sort of think, well, there's something going on with Ian, so when Adam's ready to return, we shall return to this. But I'm glad. I'm glad that there is something, obviously, in the writer's room that they've discussed about Ian's return. I do think he's going to be back next year. I think once Adam Woodyard has finished doing his theatre runs, I think we should be talking about Ian's return. That's my. If I was to make a prediction, we've got to do predictions for next year as well. That's exciting as well. We've got so much to do for the rest of the next year, Alex. Stop it! It's exciting. We've got a lot to do.
I'm very tired.
I know, because it's early and I'm very tired.
I know, and you're tired because it's very late for you, so it's kind of like a flip reversal, isn't it?
I've been up for hours.
You have, so, bless you.
But I'm very excited about Ian, and I hope we get to see him again soon. But it's been a crazy old few episodes, all right? From the sublime to the ridiculous, I think it's a fairly fair thing to say about the past few episodes, isn't it? But so please do let us know anything that you want to throw at us. What do you think is going on with Ian? Tell us all your Christmas Day theories, and we'll see who's right. We'll see who's wrong.
Will a turkey be thrown?
Will a turkey be thrown? Oh, there's possibilities of a turkey being thrown by the
third year running.
They're all sat round the kitchen table. When the revelations come out, turkeys could be thrown. Damn
Come on,
it,
Clenners.
I want it.
Reshoot it now.
In fact, no. Scrap them. Scrap all the episodes, and then go back and refilm them immediately. Get Danny back, get Charlie back, and make it all happen again. Marvelous. You can let us know any of your theories, comments, questions, laughs, tears, any of it. Let us know by doing the following. You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can find us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. Christmas, Zack. It's Christmas, Alex.
I know. I got a present.
Yeah, I got a present.
And halfway through recording, I ate chocolate from my advent calendar.
You did. Salted caramel. I'm
salted
here
caramel.
To tell you.
And Rob enjoyed my SMR, whatever it's called, ASMR.
I didn't.
When I was eating
ASMR.
it.
No, it was, all he did was chew really loudly in the microphone. It made me feel physically ill. Just so you're right. Oh, well. No, I don't like it still. But Alex, I would like to wish you the merriest of Christmases.
Oh, yes. And I'd like to wish all our listeners and watchers of the podcast a very, very Merry Christmas as well. And we'll see you just before the new year. And Rob, of course you, Rob.
Too late.
It goes without saying.
But clearly.
Yes, we're back, I think we're back on the 31st. So that'll be the whole of Christmas week. And as you're getting yourself ready for your New Year's party, you can have us drooling around on your ears or coming up on your eyes and coming up on your eyes.
Time to go to bed, I think, Alex.
Time for bed for us all.
Time to bed for us all. Night, everybody. So, yeah, as Alex said, a very happy Christmas. I hope you all have an incredible day, and I hope you enjoy EastEnders, and I cannot wait to discuss it, because it's going to be amazing. So, before the very final show of the year, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from myself. Merry Christmas, Rob.
Merry Christmas. Bye!